one. On behalf of CrossCheck Media and Biz Talk Today TV, welcome everyone to The Money Path. I am your host, Todd Schoenberger. Joining me today is Adam Patti. He is the CEO of VistaShares ETFs. Adam, the entire ETF market is worth tens of trillions of dollars at this point. Up to 18% of all investable assets are in ETFs. In your opinion, how much farther can the ETF market grow?
Well, thanks for having me this morning. I appreciate your time. Look, I'm an ETF guy since 2001. I've seen it all since the very beginning, and I think we're still early. I mean, if you look at the ETF market size versus the mutual fund market size, mutual funds still dwarf ETFs in assets. So I think there's a long way to go. There's still a lot of white space in the marketplace, which is why I jumped back in a year and a half ago to start a new company. I love the industry. ETFs are just a better vehicle for investors than other options out there. And, there's a lot of innovation in the space. So I think we're going to see growth continue for a long period of time.
So what do you come back with then when critics are coming? I mean, there are certain financial channels that are competitors of BTT that like to have experts on that talk about how saturated the ETF market is. I mean, what's your comeback to that?
Well, again, saturated. I mean, look at the mutual fund marketplace. I mean, you want to talk saturated, and you want to talk underperformance, and the mutual funds are notorious for being, saturated and a lot of underperformance versus the benchmarks in that space. So, I think ETFs are just a better vehicle, right? I mean, yeah, some segments are saturated, right? I mean, do you need, 40 of the same thematic ETF out there? Probably not. But what happens it's a competitive market. So, the quality rises to the top and the ones that aren't quality, they're driven out of the market and closed. I mean, it's just the way the industry works. And I think it's a good thing. It just gives investors more choice. ETFs are a better vehicle. They're tax efficient. They're lower cost. You could trade them all day long. They're fully transparent. It's a great way to invest.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And that does tie into the innovation of VistaShares. I love the innovation that's taking place there. Your products are very unique because they are actually, and I know you just launched it's the Stanley Druckenmiller ETF, and we'll get into that in a second. But it's also Bill Ackman, it's the Warren Buffett. You guys are really tying in the legends of Wall Street finance. When you're doing this, though, do you have to work with those guys to use their names? I mean, is it like an NIL deal in college sports? I mean, how do you actually put these things together, like the Druckenmiller one?
Yeah, these are tribute products to them. I mean, we'd love to work with them, but we look at their holdings. So we're replicating their publicly available holdings. So DRKY, which is our newest ETF we launched last week, it is Stanley Druckenmiller's largest holdings, 20 largest holdings in his portfolio. And then we put on an options overlay to generate 15% income annually. That's our target. And we pay it monthly. 1.25% per month is the target. So in fact, this Friday is our declaration day for that product as well. Ackman, our Buffett product, OMAH, ACKY is our Ackman, and QUSA is our quality income ETF.
So when you're doing this, I mean, do they know about it though, that you're coming out with this type of an ETF?
Well, I'm sure they know it because it's all over social media, but we clearly state in every single marketing piece, every post, every conversation, and I'm going to do it right now, we are not affiliated with them. So, we are not affiliated with Stanley Druckenmiller or Bill Ackman or Warren Buffett. These are tribute products. We hold them obviously in tremendous high regard, which is why we chose them based on their investment style and their track record. And we use the publicly available information to identify their holdings. I mean, there's plenty of direct indexing options out there that also do similar things. Of course, the ETF structure is a superior way to invest, in my opinion. Then, of course, we also layer on our 15% options overlay for the income to make it even more interesting for investors.
So are there any other Wall Street legends that you're thinking of adding to your roster?
There's several. I'll
Okay,
leave it there. I'll leave it there. But
okay,
yes, yeah. I mean, look, what we're trying to do very simply is, Vista Shares is not going to be everything to everybody. We are trying to go out. We talk to the marketplace. We talk to advisors. We talk to retail investors. We try to identify white space. Try to identify problems they have in their portfolios, and then we structure products that have very specific use cases around those problems. So one of the biggest problems advisors are having right now is that the S&P 500 is 40% concentrated in its top 10 holdings, or
yeah.
40, even higher now, I think. The Qs is around 45 to 50% concentrated in the top 10 holdings. And guess what? The top 10 holdings of both of those indexes are almost the same, and they're mega cap tech. Mega cap tech has had a huge run. Everyone's looked like a genius. Everyone's done very well. But what happens when leadership in the market changes to a value tilt or a quality tilt or whatever it may be? Advisors are looking to diversify their holdings. So what we've done with OMAH, our Buffett product, or ACKY, our Ackman product, or DRKY, our Druckenmiller product, is provide portfolios that look very different than what they currently have in their portfolios. So very different than the S&P. These portfolios that we're providing provide exposures that they simply don't have, or they don't have in great amounts in their portfolio. So they're diversifiers. They're core equity holdings, but diversifiers to the large indexes.
Yeah, it's super cool because from a business standpoint, I mean, it's almost like having free labor. You don't have to pay for your asset manager, so that makes sense. But what about a succession plan though? What happens when you bring on these? When you're taking their holdings and you're basing your methodology of your ETF on the decisions made by someone on the outside. But what happens when that individual, say, steps down, maybe retires, does something else? I mean, is
Sure.
there a plan for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of our due diligence. So when we, there's a lot of, look, we're choosing legendary managers, right? And so there are a lot of very high quality managers out there, but part of our due diligence is not only what is their investment style, what are their holding periods, do they have high conviction picks that they hold for a long period of time, but also what does the organization look like? We're looking at it as, like an LP investing in a hedge fund. Do they have the people and process around them for the long term? If God forbid somebody steps down or something else happens. I mean, look, Warren Buffett, he's given up the reins as CEO, but Greg Abel's been there for 20 years. He's
Yeah.
steeped in the Warren Buffett philosophy. There's not going to be drastic changes to the investment process over at Berkshire Hathaway. Greg Abel's probably been running that show, people say for the last few years on a day-to-day basis as it is. So, and, whether it's a Bill Ackman or a Druckenmiller, they have an organization around them that's steeped in their philosophy. And this is why one of many reasons why we've chosen to work, with their portfolios.
Yeah, very smart approach too to that. I mean, it's obviously shows that VistaShares is going to be around for a long time with that type of planning that's taking place. So with that though, you have a new ETF that's coming out next week, and this one isn't so much focused about an asset manager or a trader or another money manager. You're actually focusing on the hottest sector out there right now, and that's AI. And everybody knows we need electricity to keep this AI train rolling. Can you tell the audience a little bit about the new ETF that's rolling out?
Yeah, so many of the audience might know about AIS, which is our AI infrastructure ETF, which we launched last December. It's been the best performing AI ETF in the marketplace. No surprise, because we focus on the infrastructure. So while many AI portfolios are buying Palantir, or they're buying Netflix and Salesforce and these kind of consumer-facing companies, what we have done is we built a proprietary methodology based on identifying or analyzing the supply chain, and then layering in what's called the bill of materials to determine what are the most important segments of the supply chain. And then we identify the companies that are benefiting from that. Our investment committee is made up of my partner, John McNeil, who was the president of Tesla. He was chief operating officer over at Lyft. He's on the board of General Motors. He's vice chairman of their autonomous vehicle division. We have Sunny Madra, who is the president of a company called Grok, one of the, he's a luminary in the AI space. We have Professor Robert Whitelaw, who's the former dean of NYU Stern School of Business. So we have a investment committee made up of experts in these disruptive technologies. So AIS has done exceedingly well. So AIS focuses on the, what we call the intelligence infrastructure, right? It's the data centers, it's the semiconductors. That's where all the CapEx is going from the hyperscalers like the Microsofts and the Metas. When they're investing hundreds of billions of dollars, they're investing in data centers and semiconductors. So that's great. The other piece of it, to your point, is what's been very clear is that these data centers take up a lot of power and the grid is just not set up for that. So what we've done is we've created a new product that we're launching on Tuesday, ticker symbol POW, P-O-W, as in power. And it's the bookend to AIS. So while AIS is the AI infrastructure, the intelligence infrastructure, this is all the energy infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, the transmission, the distribution of power, all the components, all the technology that's required, where trillions of dollars over the next 10 years is going to have to be deployed to build out this infrastructure. So, and again, we have the same investment committee that we have for AIS, who are also experts in this space. And we also have a guy named Justin Lopas, who is the chief operating officer and the co-founder of a company called Base Power. And he was the former head engineer over at Anduril. He was one of the chief engineers over at SpaceX. He's one of the luminaries in the energy space. So we're trying to pick practitioners to help us guide our portfolio and our portfolio selection and construction process to make sure we have the right exposure for investors. So we think POW is going to be an incredible product, and it's coming out on Tuesday.
That is fantastic news. Well, congratulations on that as well. But what are your opinions here? Because with AI, I mean, everybody likes to say we're in the early innings, using a baseball analogy. I'm sure once the World Series is over, everybody will have to come up with something else.
Yeah.
But on AI though, because there's other areas as well. I mean, obviously the tech companies, the Nvidias of the world, everything, et cetera, like that. But you also have these smaller players that are taking place. Are there any discussions internally there to try to capitalize on this? Because the AI wave isn't just about the infrastructure. There's so much more to it, so much more growth that's going to be taking place over the next decade. Are you considering any other opportunities in that space?
Well, when we look at the supply chain, what we're doing is we're breaking down each component of what it takes to build an AI data center or a semiconductor. So yeah, NVIDIA is a piece of that, but they're not the only piece of it. They're the highest profile piece, and everyone talks about them. But did you know, for instance, that 30% of the cost of an AI data center is in cooling systems?
No, I did not.
Right, most people don't. So who's the leader in that? It's a company called Vertiv. VRT. So, I mean, so that's what we're doing. We're doing that work to say, all right, who is the leader in fiber optic cable for AI data centers? We look through all of them, and, most people don't know it's Corning, the old school Corning, right?
Yeah.
So, that's what we're doing. What we call it the picks and shovels, right? So we're not looking for buying Palantir. I mean, Palantir is a great company, but we don't own Palantir. Palantir is a consumer-facing company within our methodology. We're looking for the picks and shovels, the company. So, one little silly analogy we use is when Meta says they're going to deploy $1 into AI infrastructure, the cash registers ring across our entire portfolio, from the Nvidias to the Vertivs to the GE Vernovas to whomever it is, all the way down the chain to the smallest, companies providing the racking systems for those AI data centers. And that's why, and that's where the money is being made in AI now. Money will be made by Microsoft on the front end once they have the power in their applications to create enough value for consumers. We're not there yet, and we're not going to be there for years. Right now, it's the money going into the infrastructure, and now it's also going into the electrification infrastructure, which is really the gating issue for making sure AI is successful.
Yeah, that's genius, because you're looking at the entire picture here and you're coming up with new products and thinking of new ideas. I love that. So how can the audience, investors, how are they able to access VistaShares? Do they just simply go to VistaShares.com to buy the ETFs, or are there other distribution platforms?
Sure. I mean, we have a, how to invest tab on our website, you could see some of the broker dealers and things that cover it. But yeah, I mean, we're available. We're available on, all the major kind of retail broker dealers, whether it's the Robinhoods or Weebles and, the Fidelities and Schwabs. RIAs, of course, is a key distribution channel for us. So we clearly there, our products are available there. We're starting to get traction on getting access to additional platforms as well for certain of our products. So, we continue to work on that and expand access as much as possible.
And I can access POW on Tuesday, you said?
Yep, we're launching Tuesday. I'm really excited. That's a John McNeil product, so it's going to be it's something special. It
That
really
is.
is.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. That's fantastic. So POW, go to VistaShares or check your favorite brokerage platform, and you definitely want to take a look at POW and all the other VistaShares products that are out there. They're very innovative. I gotta say, I don't know if you're coming up with a Todd Schoenberger type of ETF. You have to call it like Showboat or something.
I love it. That's perfect.
I
Let's
know.
do it.
Great for marketing. Tell Mike I said that one. So listen, Adam, you've been fantastic. I got to have you back though. We got to have you back when you have these other ETFs coming out, and we got to talk about the success of POW. Love to get you back on real soon.
I'd love to do it. I appreciate your time and thanks for everyone for listening.
Well, thank you, Adam. So on behalf of Adam Patti at VistaShares.com, go check it out. I am Todd Schoenberger. Thank you once again for joining us on the Money Path. We'll catch you next time. Take care.